Hello and welcome in everybody to Sports Profit TV. This is the MLS Live podcast. We are back after a short hiatus. Well, I guess a little longer than short. We had about a month's worth of Leagues Cup. We did shows, so now we're back to regular season action here. This is episode 20 for the regular season, so we've been going and blowing for a minute here. Definitely excited to get back to it. Would have had a show last week, but was busy having a baby, so I got a new little one here at the house. Very excited about that. Very thankful. Very grateful. Feeling very blessed. Just really good stuff. How you doing, Garrett?
Good, man. Yeah. First off, congrats to you.
Thank you.
Second, got the mic extra close as we're dealing with a little bit of sickness.
Yeah.
But I'm fighting through it, hanging in there. Got to give the people what they want. And selfishly, I needed this show to come back. As League Cup has ended, I've had my worst two slates back to back of all season after this Leagues Cup break. It has been brutal, to put it nicely. So yeah, for selfish reasons, I needed this show to come back to get that good juju.
Yeah, the show has been good juju for sure. We've had really solid results week in and week out for the most part on the show. So yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. Glad to be back myself as well. Starting to get back in a rhythm, starting to get back in the routine and everything. But as always, if you are tuning in today as a repeat viewer or as a new viewer, we always start the show out with news and a quick plug of the show sponsor, which is BetUS. If you're watching on YouTube, I will put a link of the promo code that they're currently running in the description. They're running some nice deposit bonus promos for college football season, NFL season. I will have that link in the description on YouTube. And if you're watching on Twitter, we're actually streaming this on Twitter for the first time today, which is exciting. So, yeah. Happy welcome in anybody. Can you see this chat, Profit? Yes, I can. Welcome in, Mr. Patel. But anyway, like I said, we are going to get into some player news. We always start the show with player news, MLS news, American soccer news, and then we will get to our betting predictions for the weekend. But let's go ahead and start. John Herdman is in as the new Toronto FC manager. He leaves the Canadian national team job to take this. Obviously, Bob Bradley was there. They had an interim manager for a minute there. What do you think? On paper, it looks like a good hire, right?
Sure. I think it's underwhelming from what we thought Toronto would be 12 months ago, right? Like, they're bringing in all this talent. They just landed Bob Bradley, who did wonders with LAFC. Like, this is going to be a good thing, and it's been nothing but awful for everyone involved. Herdman's interesting because of the timing that he's leaving the Canadian national team. I mean, you're going to have a World Cup in 2026 where you're hosting some games in Canada, so it's an interesting choice to leave now. I think Canada's team has probably never been better. I think they're in their golden age of soccer,
Right.
With some of the best players in the world. And depending on who you talk to, it sounds like this was a national team locker room divided. I don't think he had the full locker room. He might have had some key players, but he didn't have the full locker room. So that was one issue. Also, the Canadian Federation has just been awful. I mean, like, just terrible. And so they're broke. And so, yeah, this is a good time to get out if you're going to get out. And Toronto's giving them the bag. So I think Herdman's a good coach. I don't know what this looks like in league play, though, right? Like, Toronto is clearly going to be in some kind of rebuild mode. I mean, they've got nothing but youngins out there playing right now. Sebastian, what is his name? Why am I blanking right now?
The kid?
No, Giovinco, like the old guy. He's like
Oh,
36,
yeah.
37. Like
Yep.
he's like their all-time leading scorer or something.
Yep.
Apparently he's back in training and going to be training with the team. It could possibly finish the season with them.
To play?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was playing.
So he hadn't been. That's where we're at.
Wow, that's interesting.
But you've got, I mean, even with this interim coach, Insigne had an issue at practice last week. There's still rumblings about Bernadeschi leaving before the window closes. I mean, we're in a clear, real rebuild mode here. So it's hard to say what this team looks like going into next season and what Herdman's going to be able to do in year one. This is very much up in the air.
Yeah, I'm going to make, I don't know if it's a bold prediction or not, but I will say, to me, this feels like he's not taking the job if they're not in some way promising to set him up for success in the future. Toronto FC has never been afraid to spend money, as we know. So I don't know what happens with Insigne and Bernadeschi, but I feel like he was not taking this job otherwise. So I would not be surprised to see some big moves made in the offseason. Like you said, this season's out the window. It's over. We're looking towards next season for TFC. So I would not be surprised at all to see some really big moves, especially with, the likely imminent rule changes with the Messi move and all that kind of stuff. So Toronto FC, never been afraid to spend money. Would not be shocked to see some big splash moves in the offseason. All right. While we're talking about coaches, Portland Timbers have fired Savarese. He was there forever. Overall, pretty good reputation there. Obviously took them on some great playoff runs and championship runs, stuff like that. So I don't know. It hasn't worked all season with Evander. They go and they spend $10 million on this huge signing from Denmark, and they bring Evander in. It never fit. The team has not been good at all. And so obviously they gave him some time to figure it out, but they're moving on.
Yeah, and this was not an easy call for them. I mean, Savarese is a legend in Portland. Like that dude will drink for free in Portland for the rest of his life. Like
Absolutely.
He's that kind of iconic character for that city and that's in that team. So this wasn't an easy move for them by any means, but eventually you just got to pull the plug. And I think this is them obviously doing that. It's interesting because I don't know what that means for the team, right? Like we've talked about it all season. Evander looks pissed off. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like, he doesn't look happy. Injuries. I feel bad for this Portland team in some ways. Injuries have derailed their seasons two years in a row now, which is key midfield injuries. And yeah, they're going to be at a transition point, right? Like Evander represented what we thought was a change in mentality where they break their transfer record by a lot, bring in Evander who could easily become one of the better 10s in the league. He's very much more like a
he was supposed to be like Diego Valeri replacement.
Yeah, like that was like the shoes he was supposed to fill. I don't know. I don't know. It's another team where you're like, I'm not sure what this looks like. I don't think they get rid of Evander, but they've got to find a way to build this team around him.
Yeah.
Like you can't spend that kind of money and then play him farther back or play him on the wing. Like he needs to be, I mean, this dude needs to be as close to a 10 shadow striker like role that you can get.
Right.
But this dude just scores goals for fun on just on free kicks and stuff. He scores goals and he still doesn't look happy. Like the dude makes it look easy, and you just got to find a way to make it work with the rest of the team. And we talked about it earlier in the season, and that's been a struggle all year long. It is not working. There is some kind of disconnect there between Evander and the rest of the team.
Yeah, and this is not new news. He hasn't looked happy since he arrived in Portland. It was right off the bat. I mean, I think we both were tuning in to Portland Timbers' first couple of games just to get our eyes on this guy, and he was clearly not fitting right away, and that never really was resolved. So, yeah, like you said, they've got to build around him, whatever that takes. A change in style, a change in system. Obviously, bringing in some support, but Yeah, hopefully they get it figured out. Portland Timbers being a good team is good for the league. So would love to see them improve and figure that out. But all right. All right, this one's bittersweet because we don't get to talk about the USL very often on the show, which of course is one of my favorite leagues. But bittersweet because San Diego Loyal are shuttering their doors after the 2023 season. That's because Major League Soccer is coming into San Diego, so it's bittersweet in multiple ways. Landon Donovan is the owner of that franchise, I believe, or at least a part owner.
He's in the front office.
Okay, yeah, he was a coach last year, and that was probably the best season that they've ever had. Most talented, most goals. They were a really fun team to back and to bet in 2022, and they just haven't quite been the same this season. And they've got the whole thing, the whole shadow kind of hanging over their shoulder that they're not going to exist. So they're having a bit of an existential crisis over there in San Diego, but San Diego is a done deal for MLS, right?
Yeah, $500 million will get you a team,
and that's the next one.
Mm-hmm. And this team could have moved on to somewhere else, but the owner was never going to take it out of San Diego, or at least far from it. They looked really hard to try to find stadium options and stuff, and how to keep that team around. Yep. And nothing's viable. Not when you have a team that just spent $500 million coming in, and going to get all the MLS eyes. Yeah, it's sad. Because the Loyal had done real good work there locally, building a fan base and getting people excited.
Right.
So if you're in or around San Diego, yeah, definitely try to get in a game. I think they've got 3 or 4 left this season. Definitely try to get one in before they hang it up.
Yep, the Locals, I think, is the name of their fans there. All right, last piece of news, and we will get to betting predictions for the weekend. Balogun, done deal to Monaco in Ligue 1 in France. This is great. I mean, I know you're a big fan of this move. I'm a fan of wherever he can go and produce at a high level. And I mean, I thought it would have been cool to see him in the Premier League, like as a starting 9 somewhere, just because it's the Premier League. But this is really high level. I mean, the top of League 1 in France is great soccer. What makes you? I feel like you felt like this was almost like a slam dunk move for him.
You broke up. What?
I felt like you really liked this move.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Monaco's offense has been on a tear to start the season. They've looked great. They're just a very attacking side, always have been, and they've always thrived with young talent. Yetter's got some stuff going on in the legal system that we don't know how that's going to end up, but he's also 33. So I think Balogun's going into a great system and a very attack-friendly offense, where I think he takes over the starting job here by January. I don't think 33-year-old Yetter is going to be the starter all season long, even if he has no legal issues. Balogun's just got that kind of talent, and I think he's going to fit this system really well. I don't think there was any chance Arsenal were actually really going to let him stay in the Premier League, mainly because they don't want to take the chance of him hurting them, right? The only one who's going to really pay up for this kind of money, because it was like, I think 40 million all said and done, would have been one of the bigger teams, Chelsea, who's buying up everybody, or somebody like that. Like they talked about Fulham, looking at him, and some other teams. I don't think those were actually ever really viable. And Arsenal's not sending him to a direct rival like Chelsea or anything like that. And so this, I think, is best for everyone. Balogun gets to stay in a league that he knows, that he's comfortable in, that everyone knows he can play in. I think, he might be a good look at a golden boot shout here. He's going to be good in this system. And Arsenal don't have to really deal with him, right? At least not until Europe competition, should they meet up. So I think this is good for everyone. And this is not a long-term move. I think this is 2 or 3 years. Monaco are going to cash in and make some profit off of this, and he'll be on a big stage soon enough.
All right, fantastic. Well said. let's go ahead and move on. We've got predictions to get to. We got 3 games, 3 picks for you guys. First game we're going to be talking about is a new rivalry, Sporting Kansas City and St. Louis City. It was surprising to me initially how much trash was being talked between these two fan bases on Twitter. And they've only played, I mean, they've only played officially, I think, once in MLS earlier this season. And it was like, I mean, you would have thought that they've been rivals for 50 years, the way that these two fan bases were getting after each other. So, but this is your spot, Garrett.
Yeah. So again, these are for this weekend. They're not for tomorrow. There is a midweek slate here for MLS that we might have some plays on. You just check our Twitter handles, our X handles, and we might have some plays there. So this is for the weekend. But yeah, these two teams hate each other. These fan bases especially hate each other, all over arguing about who actually is the capital of American soccer. I don't get it. But anyways, this is I'm gonna play the the over. I think it's 2.75.
Yep, there you go.
If you can only get the 3, I'm okay with going over 3. The 2.5 is just too juiced. But yeah, Kansas City home games, they've seen 3 or more goals in 69% this season. St. Louis away games, 3 or more goals in 67% this season. So when I'm looking at these spots for this weekend, considering we have so many games midweek, I think there's only 3 teams not playing this midweek. I'm trying to look for spots where I don't have to sweat certain things, such as just crazy lineup changes, other stuff like that. So I want games that are going to have that I know have some built-in energy, some built-in meaning. Games where I know guys, no matter what, are going to show up. This is one of them.
Yep.
St. Louis got the better of KC when St. Louis hosted them in May, 4-0 beat down. Like, it was bad. KC is one of the few teams, I think one of 3, that don't have a midweek game this week. Okay. So they'll be rested. And so I think KC is going to go out for a little revenge. St. Louis will definitely get up for this game. And so between the big energy and the just going with some percentages here, I like the over in this game.
Yeah, I was looking at this one as well. I guess the only objective concern, not even necessarily concern, but just kind of when I looked at it, I was looking towards Sporting Kansas City in this one as a decent spot for them. I'd like to see him win, but I'm not. It doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously, I would rather this total come through than anything, obviously, for the show. St. Louis City has not been quite as prolific on the road, I guess, was the only thing that I kind of had written down in my notes. But there's something about rivalry games in Major League Soccer, and it feels like every other league in the world, in derbies or rivalry games, it feels like the under is always the move. In MLS, it's the exact opposite. For whatever reason, the goals fly in MLS and rivalry games. And then another thing that I had written down is Johnny Russell sprained his ankle last game. It sounded like he's okay, but it seems like he is likely to play for Saturday.
He's questionable. Well, the way one beat writer put it is like Johnny Russell is the only player I'm comfortable saying he's probably going to play if questionable. Because that's just what he does.
That's him.
He just plays. To go to your St. Louis point about them not being super prolific on the road, there's a reason why I'm not on my usual both teams to score over 2.5 here, right? Like,
right.
There's a world where Kansas City wins this 3-0, maybe even answers back with a 4-0. I mean, they're going to have rested legs. They're going to be at home, and like I said, they're going to be hungry. They're still fighting for a playoff spot. St. Louis is holding on to dreams that they can chase the supporter shield. I don't think that's happening, but KC right now is not qualifying for the playoffs, and that's a tight race. So if you want 3-0, 3-1, like, I could see that. Like, I'm not backing St. Louis to win here. And I think Kansas City's price is decent right now. Like, I think it's -105, -110, something like that. That's a good price in this scenario. But yeah, I'm just taking an over because I think St. Louis will let some in. They might contribute, but KC, I think, is going to be out for blood in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I do think this is like you said. I'm glad we agree. This is probably a good Sporting KC spot, and like you said, taking the over as opposed to a combo play where both teams to score. I'm definitely more comfortable with that. I think this is going to be a high flying game, lots of energy, should be really fun. So moving on to the next one. This is one that it's a gut play. So let's just get to it. Garrett doesn't like this one that much, but that's okay because we're a team and he has to at least pretend to like it. So NYCFC team total over 1.5, -102. I love the price. Vancouver has been leaky on the road all season long. NYCFC, I've been trying to make a little bit of money on these guys the last game or so because I can see a tide turning a little bit, and I know they're rebuilding. Garrett mentioned to me before the show they just sold center back that has been with them for years and years, so they are rebuilding. But I cannot ignore the numbers. Since they have got Bakrar, the Moroccan forward, the 9 that came in, he hasn't necessarily been producing, but the attack has looked better. So against Atlas in Leagues Cup, that was his first game. They created 3 big chances. Then they come back and beat Toronto 5-0, which was that was a good performance. Back in MLS play, they hosted Minnesota United and created 2.27 expected goals. None of those went in, but it was good to see the chance creation. And they created 2 big chances against Cincinnati on the road. So I like the way the attack is looking. They're kind of just letting it rip at this point in the season. And Vancouver's vulnerable on the road. I like goals in this game in general, but I've just kind of cornering this spot as I think it's a sharp spot. I think that this is an NYC spot, and I'm going to let it rip. I mean, it's the straight up goals for numbers for NYCFC are obviously not good, and they don't necessarily back this play. But I think that I'm catching some positive regression here in the right spot. And I think that they, given the price, I think they get up and over this team total.
So, not that I don't like this play. It just stunned me when you sent this to me, because you're looking at a team that's only scored in 1 of the last 5 games.
Yep.
And their team totals only hit in 2 of their last 11. And it is hard to like this New York team to score. Granted, since they brought Maxi back, they have looked better.
And that's big too. Yeah.
But I think that is the almost sole reason their offense has looked even somewhat viable. What I do like here is you're catching Vancouver in a really tough spot this season. This is going to be their 3rd road game of 7 straight. So a really long road trip here to end the season, or as the season winds down for Vancouver. Tough spot, coming with some midweek action. This play can absolutely come home, but I think it is smart that you are on the team total and not the money line. The money line's a lot juicier, obviously.
Yeah.
But Vancouver could pull something out of here. They've been that good this year. They just got better. They're stacked, in my opinion. And yeah, I think the NY, they're at Yankee Stadium, which is, I don't know if we talked about that, another big pro for NYC. I do like that team so much more when they are actually at Yankee Stadium, because those dimensions just mess with everyone.
Yep.
So no, not a bad spot, obviously, just a very interesting spot. Not one that I would look at, that I would immediately gravitate toward, right? Like, there's absolutely ways you can talk me into this spot. We've just covered some of those basis points, but but not one that I just immediately get drawn to. So it was very interesting when you tossed this out and I got to dive into it. It was yeah, it was a good look.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, let's get to the next one. This is definitely the heavyweight bout. We wouldn't have called this a heavyweight bout 2 months ago because obviously Messi wasn't here yet, but gee willikers, LAFC and Inter Miami. This is going to be at the bank in LA. Man, what a matchup we have on our hands here.
The Messi effect is unreal, and that's the
he's
only
an
way
alien.
that's the only way I can describe it. The Red Bulls have been around in existence since the beginning of MLS, as the Metro Stars. Like they've been around forever. They just played Miami, and they set an attendance record at their stadium with just over 26,000 people.
Wow.
So you think about that, how long the Red Bulls have been around, like all the teams they've played, all the games, and they just set an attendance record because Messi came to town. Just wild. But yes, this is the over 2.5. It was at -138 just a couple hours ago. I checked the same book and it's already at -140. I don't think this stays playable for very long. LAFC have the third best expected goals at home this season in the league. To be fair, they also have the best home defense in regards to expected goals against, but Messi is Messi, and I don't think any of that matters. Like it's just that's the tip there. The over 2.5 has hit in LFC home games at 62% of the season. Not a dominant percentage, but a good one. However, it's hit in 6 of the last 7 home games. It's really started to cook up as that schedule got a little lighter. If you remember, LAFC were just playing 3 times a week, basically for the first half of the season. It was Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, like over and over and over again, just with all the games they had going on.
Yeah.
And since Messi has arrived to Miami, the over 2.5 has hit in 7 of 9 games in all competitions for Miami. I don't know if we didn't talk about it here. Obviously, we didn't have a show. They scored more goals in Leagues Cup than they have so far in MLS this season. That's just the impact this man's having. So yeah, I think this is a good price, and I don't think it's playable come kickoff this weekend. And so I'm going to just go ahead and stamp it now.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised to see this open where it opened. Obviously you can't score 1 million goals every single game forever. It's just not how it works. But yeah, like you said, the Messi effect, it's beyond anything in my wildest dreams. When we found out he was coming here, it doesn't matter who they're playing in this league. He only needs an inch. He only needs an inch of space, and he makes everything really hard just look automatic. It's just it's been unbelievable.
Messi's best play so far actually came in the Red Bull game where he did a give and go with Kromashki. And I don't know how he saw Kromashki. You need to go back and watch highlights of that game if you haven't seen it. It's one of the better passes I've ever seen in my life because I don't know how he saw that guy. And then to get it right back for an easy tap in was just so messy. You talk about his effect. I've never seen anything like this in professional sports, where one dude comes in and literally takes the worst team in the league and makes them. I was looking at it earlier. They are plus 500 to win the league, like the win MLS Cup right now. They have to win 8 of the remaining games to make the playoffs. And they have 11 games left over. They've got to win 8 of those.
But it doesn't feel like it's all that far-fetched. Messi.
Well, it's going to get tight because, and I think part of this total reflects that Messi just had his busiest August since he left Barcelona. So that man's played a ton of games, 9 games in 36, 37 days or something.
Yeah.
That's a ton. He's got the Argentina call-ups coming in September. So he's going to be away for a couple of games. So I think this is going to be really tight on if they actually make it or not. And I think this total starts reflecting the books don't know when he's starting and when he's not, right? He's played so much and then all of a sudden he gets rested against the Red Bulls. He's going to have a Wednesday game with Nashville. and then they're going to travel all the way across the country to the West Coast to play LAFC. I think part of that total reflects that is Messi. Yes, he is the GOAT, but he's still human in the sense that body like reaches physical limitations.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think it matters though. Even if I don't think he rests in this game. I think you're going to see him because he's on international duty after this. I think they'll just run these guys out the next 2 games. But I don't think it matters. He'll come in and score or come in and assist in the second half or whatever. Let LAFC do whatever they do in the first half. This total shouldn't be playable. Again, I don't think it's playable come kickoff. And it's my favorite spot of the weekend easily.
Yeah, and I mean, we've already seen this Inter Miami defense. I mean, LAFC could score 2 goals on Inter Miami's defense in their sleep. So this could be wild, and it just feels like anytime Miami's down, like Messi just consistently pulls a rabbit out of his hat, and it's just nuts. It's the only thing keeping me from wanting to be on LAFC here.
Well, no, I mean, still going to West Coast is hard. Like, do I think Miami score? Yes. But I mean, traveling to West Coast is still hard. I just don't like LAFC's price, granted who they're playing. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying there, but LAFC has the advantage here, no doubt. By the way, Messi's also like plus 350 to win the Golden Boot. Dude has 1 goal in league play.
What? Well, that doesn't make any sense to take
the Miami exposure books has to be terrifying, even for a smaller market like MLS. For them to have Messi at plus 350 for Golden Boot, Miami plus 500 to win the MLS Cup. It's like I sent out weeks ago Miami to make the playoffs plus 800. I thought it was a long shot, but I said plus 800 seems like a little bit of value for me, given their schedule and who they all have left to play. I can't find that play anywhere now. And if they're plus 500 to win the MLS Cup, then to make the playoffs, that value is absolutely gotten shot. So, it's just wild.
So Hani Mukhtar has 13, and then Acosta and Espinoza. And actually,
the Golden Boot makes no sense. The Golden Boot makes no sense. He has to score 2 a game. He'll have to get to 21, 22-ish around there. And that's 2 a game.
I think they're just trying to take donations on that, to be honest with you.
Well, it's not that price if it hasn't gotten pushed to that point, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. People have been betting Messi on everything.
If you look, so in our futures show we did in the very first show of the season, I tossed out Inter Miami. I think it was like plus 1,800 or plus 2,000 or something like that, simply for this scenario, because I said if they can just tread water, they get Messi. You're not getting anywhere near this price, right? Now, granted, I don't think either one of us saw them just being the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
But even now, that plus 1,800 looks like extreme value. Now they're 500 or plus 750, like whatever, like they're under plus 1,000, no matter what book you look at, pretty much.
Right.
And so, like, while I want to look like a genius saying, I grabbed this because of this scenario, no, it was awful. They were plus 10,000 before Messi. The Messi announcement came down. Like it's insane. But that's what I'm saying. Like those were the prices. Messi gets announced and then the prices get slashed. Some of that's got obviously the books protecting themselves, right? But like people have pushed that there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I might have called him crazy before League's Cup and everything, but I'm not calling him crazy now. It's Messi's just been crazy, but
this team has an outside chance to win the treble.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's
like a fairy tale.
Insane to me. I've never seen anything like it.
No, it's otherworldly. It's not supposed to happen like this. All right. Well, so that pretty much does it for us. I am going to, real quick, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribing. If you're watching on Twitter, thanks for watching. I'm going to try to do another college football free play stream on video like I did last week with the Notre Dame play that cashed. I'm going to try to get that sent out tomorrow before lines move. Garrett, any closing remarks?
No, again, midweek action. So make sure you're following our handles. in case we get any plays there. I've got some I'm looking at. So I'll definitely be firing a little bit midweek action. But no, it's good to be back. Good to be back with the show, back with the viewers. And as always, best of luck to what you're on. And hopefully we're cashing again this weekend.
Let's have a great weekend, guys. See y'all next week.